All right, let me get at y'all real quick. Let me plug the joint. What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? Okay, now I want to be clear. I am not talking about sexual orientation, right? Because sometimes when people hear certain words or they look at certain words, they correlate it with something else. This is not about sexual orientation. Okay, when I talk about sexual identity, right? Put it this way: when we talk about sexual identity, right? Identity referring to a individual's conception of themselves. How do you view yourself, right? So when we talk about sexual identity, right? How do you view sex? What is your relationship with sex, right? What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? So I did a consultation and, shout out to this individual, right? You know who you are. So I did a consultation with him and he has a dilemma. And this is a dilemma that I had a similar dilemma, right? And then I had to be honest with myself. I had a similar dilemma, right? So basically his dilemma is this. This young man, I believe he's married. He's definitely in a relationship. He's definitely in a relationship. I'm not certain if he's married, but I know he's in a monogamous relationship. And this particular woman that he's with, he does see her as a wife and the future mother of his children. Is something that he definitely wants to do with this woman. Again, I can't recall if he's married or not, but if he's not, it's something that he wants to do with this woman. Now, his dilemma is because of how he views marriage and family, right? Part of him doesn't want to introduce a quote unquote poly lifestyle or an open relationship lifestyle. He doesn't want to introduce that um, with a child and a wife. He doesn't want to introduce that. But the problem is, deep down inside, he craves variety, right? He doesn't want to cheat on his wife, um, or his girl, whichever one she is, but he knows deep down inside that being monogamous isn't something he really wants to do. But because his beliefs are so strong when it comes to the covenant of marriage and family, raising a family, he's kind of torn, if that makes sense, gentlemen. He's kind of torn between doing what he believes is the right thing based on how he views relationships and marriages versus what he really wants to do. And I think that's the problem with both men and women is a lot of people are selling out to do the quote unquote acceptable societal thing versus what they really want to do, and they end up in relationships where they are unhappy, right? So this particular gentleman, you know, I ran the thought by him of introducing, role playing, and with the sex and all of that, and we talked about it at length, and this is something that he's done. So, and shout out to this young man, and he's from Eastern Europe, Lithuania. I don't. How do you pronounce that shit? Look, I'll be pronouncing shit funny, but that's the country he's from. So shout out to him. Again, from Eastern Europe. So one of the things he shared with me is that he's already come to the realization that variety is something that he's always gonna want. And I was talking to him about his woman, and I was like, has her look changed? Like, has she gained any weight? And he said, no, she is just as sexy as she's always been. He says he has no problem getting an erection or maintaining one, but that he's simply bored of fucking the same person. And this is something that people don't want to talk about. And I also talked to him about relationship sex. How, fucking the same person for a while, it can get a little mundane. It can get a little what's the word I'm looking for? Routine. And that's the word he used as well. It's gotten to the point where although they introduce other things, it's gotten to the point where it's routine. But let's get back to the title. What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? And again, I ran into this problem. Um, I've been married, I've been in, long-term relationships. I tried the monogamy thing. And I can be monogamous in stretches. Like I can fuck with one chick for a while in stretches, right? But the problem is, I know that it's something that I cannot continuously do for the duration of a long term relationship. I can't do it, right? And the reason why I can't do it is because I desire variety and it's never going to go away. Like, I can't be with one woman. I can't be. Okay. Not for life, maybe for, you know, again, bouts of time, sexually, but I can't be with one woman sexually forever. You know what I'm saying? Or for 10, 15, 20 years and I'm fucking one chick. I can't do that. Right. And a lot of people, both men and women, they can't do it either. The problem is what people would rather do instead of be honest with their significant others or honest with the people that they're dating, they would rather get into relationships and pretend to be monogamous. I told you guys, right? We've gotten a couple of phone calls from guys who rock with us where the women they're dating, right? The women that they are dating are telling these men, um, I don't want to date casually. I want to be in a monogamous relationship. And then these guys reluctantly get into a monogamous relationship with these women only to find out that the women been cheating the whole time. And the reason these women been cheating the whole time, because their sexual identity is clashing with their personal beliefs too. And here's the reality of it, right? There are both men and women who don't believe the people that they are the most interested in would go for it, would be interested in a poly situation or an open relationship type situation. A lot of people, when they don't think the other person or persons would go for it, so they don't mention it. They just pretend to go along with the monogamous sexual exclusivity shit only to be cheating. Okay. And the reason why that is because your personal beliefs are clashing with your sexual identity and you just refuse to be honest. And my thing is this, there's this segment of our population that wants to condemn or shame people or ostracize people who desire to deal with multiple, individuals at the same time. And what they don't realize is that whether they know it or not, the people that they're dating or the people that they are married to are doing the same thing. They're just being sneaky about it. And we just got to be honest. Like most people, guys, this is just a reality. Most people are unfit to be in monogamous relationships. And that includes people who are in them right now. Most people are unfit to be in monogamous relationships. And the reason why is because you don't want to be monogamous. You're only pretending to be for the sake of that relationship. And I talked about that, how a lot of these relationships, they're obligatory monogamy or obligatory monogamous, meaning people are only being monogamous out of obligation because the person that they want basically told them, if you want me, you can only be fucking with me. Right. And then you got people that say okay to that. And sometimes they never mean it. Sometimes they never stop fucking who they've been fucking. Other times, and this is what both men and women struggle with, and this is something that I struggle with, not anymore, but this is something that I did struggle with. Sometimes you try to do what you believe is the right thing, right? Now, repeat what I just said. You try and do what you believe is the right thing. Here's the problem, though. Are you doing the right thing for you, or are you doing the right thing for the perception of you? Don't let that go over your head. Are you doing the right thing for you? Or are you doing the right thing for the perception of you? Meaning how you would like to be viewed at, or like to be looked upon, right? So And what I realized when I was in these fake ass monogamous relationships is that I was lying to myself. I was lying to myself, right? I was literally lying to myself that I could pull it off. And I knew I couldn't. Deep down inside, I knew I couldn't pull it off. I knew I couldn't pull it off, right? So when I was younger, how I handled it was I just cheated, right? I admitted that. I'm not proud of that shit, right? I admitted that I cheated when I was, younger. That's how I reconciled the lie I was telling myself, right? But then I grew the fuck up and I just started being, straight up, you know what I'm saying, with the women in my life, right? And it's very, very peaceful to let women know the truth. You don't have to hide, you don't have to sneak, right? What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? And let me just say this real quick. Gentlemen, it's in your best interest to let women know the truth about your sexual identity, about the fact that you crave variety. If you're into, threesomes and different types of adventurous sex, it's very, very important that these women that you're going to be embarking on relationships with, that they understand 110% who you are, what you are about, and then let them make a decision whether or not they want to be with you based on the truth of your sexual identity. Who are you? What type of sex do you like? Right? Casual sex, weekend flings, gangbangs, threesomes, just freaky shit, regular sex, vanilla sex, whatever it is you're into, you need to have an open communication with the people that you're dating seriously about what's going on with you. So that way they can make the best decision for themselves whether or not they want to participate in your shit. What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? You start lying to your loved ones. You start pretending to be someone that they would want to be with. But deep down inside, you're not that person at all. You're only pretending, right? And you could really say you're kind of a phony because you're not living your truth. You're camouflaging yourself. And I talk about that all the time, how people conceal and they camouflage themselves when they're dating. Well, people also conceal and camouflage themselves in long-term relationships and marriages too. The whole time, people are camouflaging themselves, and that's not the way to be, man. That's not the way to live your life, man. What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? Be honest about who you are. And guys, I'm here to tell you, and women, I'm here to tell you, sometimes being honest about who you are will have people leaving your life that you want to stay or that you would like to stay, right? But also being honest about who you are will have people coming into your life that are actually a good fit for how you truly want to live your life. Now, what I just said, sometimes you're going to have people come into your life, right? Where they want to be a part of how you truly want to live, not how you're currently living your life, how you really want to live your life. They want to be a part of that. All you got to do is tell people the truth and give them the opportunity to decide. It's not always going to work in your favor, and it's not supposed to. Nobody gets everything they want all the time. What happens when your beliefs conflict with your sexual identity? You start living a lie. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to your spouse, and eventually it's going to take a toll on your relationship. Eventually. You have to make a decision. You have to. Peace.